I'd like to welcome all of you to today's Veterans Day ceremony. We will begin today by playing Hymn to Joy. Many of you will recognize this piece as it was from Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, and it really brings the day together today as we celebrate and enjoy our veterans. We will now be rising so that we can present the colors. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Sergeant Jamie R. Aschebrock. Sergeant Aschebrock graduated from Stratford in 2011 and joined the United States Marine Corps that same year. During his 5-year enlistment, he deployed 3 times to 10 different countries on peacekeeping and security missions as a member of the 15th Marine Expeditionary Unit, Maritime Raid Force, Security Platoon, and as a machine gunner with the 3rd Battalion, 5th Marine Regiment, 1st Marine Division. He's also mentioned as a character in Tom Clancy's book, Commander-in-Chief, a Jack Ryan novel. He currently resides in Stratford with his wife and son. Please join me in welcoming Sergeant Jamie Aschebrock.
Thank you. Very good job. And to the band as well. It sounded great. Well, you guys got an introduction about me, but I don't know any of you, literally anybody here. So I just want to ask a couple questions from the crowd so I get to know you. Who are your places after school sport? Anybody? Okay, you in the black, what do you play?
I played football.
Play football? What position?
Tight end.
Tight end, all right. Who drove a car here today? Mostly the adults. There's a shocker. Okay. Is anybody going to go deer hunting in a couple of weeks? And is anyone going to shoot a big buck? All right. I also want to comment on the community. I've gone to a couple Stratford events, and we usually don't have community members, just the school people, so thank you for your support as well. And who's going to go to college in the next few years? Just 1 or 2? Okay. That guy up there, he's about 5 years old. He's going to go to college. All right. And then I just need 2 volunteers. I need one from the 4th grade. Who's a strong? Okay, let's go with the college legend over here. Come on down. Yep. Legend of making. I bet you were expecting this. What's your name?
Damon,
Damon. How old are you?
9,
And when's your birthday?
June 5th.
June 5th. That's perfect. You want to take a seat right here? And then we need a, who's about 15 years old? 15-year-old volunteer? Okay, you want to be, yep, come on down. Yep, you're the guy. Okay, now what's your name?
Kyle Gooch.
Kyler, all right, and you're 15? When's your birthday?
November 26th.
November 26th coming up. All right, you're going to be driving pretty soon, huh? All right, then you can raise your hand next time we give a speech. Go ahead, take a seat. So once again, your name is Kyler, and yours was? Damon. Okay, sorry. So I left home in July 2011, and I had a great life. I had a nice family, good home, plenty of opportunity. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, I find myself getting screamed at by a drill instructor. And I said, what am I doing here? Like, I could have got a job and going to college. This is miserable. I was scared. I was nervous. I've never been away from home. It was the first time I went on an airplane. And I would have got lost at the airport if another guy would help me out. So it wasn't going well to start. And after about 6 months of training, I went through boot camp, then I went through machine gun school, which is very grueling. And another time in my life, I said, what am I doing here? I had to carry a 70-pound machine gun for 26 miles, and if I didn't, I couldn't go home for Christmas. So I was like, man, this is hard. You know, I'm not a very big guy, and I'm a lot bigger than I was then, trust me. But I was lucky enough, once I got dispatched to Company K, which is 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, I got selected to be part of the Maritime Raid Force, and when I was there, we did anti-piracy missions, where if there was a pirate, not like Jack Sparrow, but more like Somali pirates, we would rope down onto their boat and seize their assets. And the other thing we did was embassy reinforcement. If you're old enough to remember Benghazi, I remember that. About 6 days after that happened, I got put on the USS Pallido and they shipped me overseas with about 800 other Marines, helicopters, jets, the whole yards. So it was one way to see the world. I saw a lot of countries that way, but I also learned that the world can be a miserable place. The first country I've ever been to was Timor-Leste. And a couple of years before we got there, they had a lot of turmoil. So I show up, we unload off this boat, and the first thing you notice is a lot of people missing limbs. About 10 years ago or so, before we were there, this is 2013, they had a lot of gang violence. And then they had, I don't know what you want to call it, paramilitary violence. So what they would do is they would take machetes and cut people's hands and feet off. And I realized right then what I was doing. This wasn't the world I grew up in. This isn't where I was from. I grew up in Stratford. It was safe. If there was a gang there, the police would take care of it, right? But there was no police. There was no government. Luckily, the UN intervened and started sending the Marine Corps. There's a constant Marine Corps presence in Dili, which is the capital of Timor-Leste. So we sailed the world for 9 months. We went all over the place doing different missions, Sudan, or you name it. And, luckily, the Marine Corps has a good reputation for the enemy. When they see our helicopters, stuff coming, they just get the heck out of the way. So after we got done with that mission, I returned to Company K machine gun unit, and we were deployed to the Philippines. If you remember ISIS, the caliphate, they joined all these extremist groups together under one idea, and they were terrorizing Catholics in the Philippines. So we went there, and our presence was enough to scare them away. We didn't have to fire around. We did fly a lot of helicopters and a lot of jets right over their heads, scare them out of there. And the locals in the area, they lived in little shacks. I mean, some of you probably have hunting stands a lot nicer than where they lived. But that wasn't their home. They were chased out of their home by these paramilitary groups. And I scolded one young boy. He was trying to sell me a wet pack of cigarettes. I don't smoke. And I said, "You're too young to have cigarettes." And he said, "No, I'm 15 years old." I said, "No." He said, "Yeah, all the boys here were this guy's 13, he's 12, whatever." Can you stand up, Dan? Stand up. He was about this big. Can you stand up, Tyler? You're not a real big guy either, but the fact is that we eat 3 meals a day, they eat 3 meals a week. They're all malnourished, didn't have anything to eat. Thanks, guys. I just wanted to use a little display about an American boy. Did you eat breakfast today? Yes. Did you?
Yes, I always have breakfast.
All right. In America, you're going to grow. You're going to have opportunity for food, water, shelter. Go ahead and sit down. Thank you, guys. Go ahead. Turn your seats. Thanks. Round of applause for Jamie and Marta. So earlier I asked who played sports or who's going deer hunting. Who here is eating a meal today? Probably everybody. We're probably going to have lunch here pretty soon as soon as we get done yapping. We have opportunity in this country that people also around the world don't have. So, sorry, I had to switch pages. I'm not a professional speaker. There's a background, I'm a maintenance man. And they couldn't find anybody else, so I guess I don't know. So, we all decided we're going to eat today. Has anyone been run out of your village, had your village burned to the ground because of your religious beliefs? No? We all have to go through the motions of Veterans Day, kind of like with Thanksgiving in 2 weeks. Show up, do a ceremony, maybe Thanksgiving you eat a turkey. You don't really think about and reflect the sacrifice of these guys back here. The things that they went through, some of the best years of their lives they gave up for us. We don't just forget about them, we also forget about the opportunity that we have here. Kids in other countries, they just want to survive. There's nobody that's going to play football after school. There's no college or no work plans. Many won't eat today. Some will die or be killed. These American veterans have stood tall for 250 years now in this country, so that our children and the next group's children can have those opportunities. And some of you are going to have more opportunities than the others. So I'm going to ask you this, don't waste it. Some of you might not have the best home life. Don't use it as an excuse. You need to rise above your circumstances, because you do have the opportunity here. You can make something yourself in this country that other kids can never dream of. There's kids in Gaza right now that would pray to have the problems you have. So I'm very grateful to all these gentlemen. I'm grateful for everybody serving now. Every night that it rains, I wake up and I'm so thankful that I'm not out there and somebody else is. So, to wrap this up, every year I receive a lot of thank yous for my service, and although I appreciate it. And talk is kind of cheap, unlike everything else in the country. If you really want to thank a veteran for their service, stand for a flag and honor it. Respect each other and work hard, be a good person, and be the type of person we're sacrificing for. And for some of you, when the nation calls, raise your right hand. And remember, our way of life is only one generation away from destruction. Thanks.
would like to take this opportunity to thank you all for joining us today as we recognize and honor those who have served in our nation's armed forces. As we have just participated in an election this year, I have been reflecting with gratitude just how thankful I am to live in the United States of America, where we have freedoms that are only dreamed about in other countries. And we heard a little bit about that earlier here. Freedoms that have not been free, but have been fought for and paid with the blood and sacrifices of brave men and women who have put country ahead of self for the betterment of us all. From 1914 to 1918, World War I raged. And on November 11th, 1918, World War I was officially ended when the Allies and Germany signed the armistice, which came into effect at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. 1 year later, President Woodrow Wilson declared November 11th an Armistice Day to honor the military personnel who had served in the war to end all wars. And by 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower recognized the need to honor all who had served. As we know, World War I did not end all wars, as we had hoped. And by this time, there were many who had sacrificed in World War II and the Korean War. Armistice Day was officially changed to Veterans Day and included the honoring of all military veterans. We use today to stop and reflect. As Sergeant Aschebrock said earlier, we don't often stop and think about these things, and it's good to pause and reflect on all of the sacrifices that have been made. So we take today to reflect on the brave sacrifices of the men and women of our military, to those who served in wartime and in peacetime. We use today to honor you and to express our gratitude for your service. You have served bravely. You have served with honor, demonstrating courage and commitment that have shaped our country. Thank you for your service.
The band will now be playing Armed Forces Salute. Veterans, we'd ask that you please stand and be recognized when you hear your song.
personally, I want to thank you for coming and celebrating this day, and we thank you for your appreciation. And I can only say this, that Jeremy asked me to give his speech here at the beginning, but there's no way that I could give it. Every veteran has a story, and only Jamie can tell his story. And so we appreciate you sharing that with us. And I also want to thank Matt Robisch for your continued efforts with this band here. You've created an awesome culture, and you're helping them to excel to greatness, and we can see it as they play. And Mrs. Leonhard, I can only say that you continue to transform the choir. They get better and better and better. So just thank you for your hard work, and thank you, choir, for listening to and practicing and doing all that's necessary, because you sound absolutely awesome. This is a time in which we celebrate a very tender moment, as told about by Mrs. Blomberg. And we celebrate the 11th hour of the 11th month in the 11th day of the year 1918, when the armistice was signed. And so I always come up here and just let everybody know that we will continue with the tradition here. And the tradition simply is that we all rise, and then we face to the east while Paps is being played. And so I want everybody to know that when I give the about-face command to the veterans here, it's not that we're turning our backs on you. We'll all be facing east at that time.
helping us honor our veterans.